This is posted by John David Anderson. It has received several star reviews, including one by the Kirkus magazine as well as the Hornbook magazine. It addresses the issue of your words and how once words are posted, especially on social media and the internet, they can never be taken back. So our characters are in a school where cell phones have been banned, and they find a way to cope with it or kind of rebel by posting what they want to say on post-its. It starts off well, but then feelings start getting hurt. Rude and mean things are being said, and friendships are changed forever. So we have the issue of digital responsibility addressed here, middle school life addressed here, and the protagonist is also a child of a divorced family, so it touches on those issues as well. Next is The Stars Beneath Our Feet, written by David Barclay Moore. It is a receiver of the Coretta Scott King Award and John Steptoe Award for New Talent. It's about a 12-year-old boy named Lolly living in Harlem, New York, on 25th Street in the St. Nicholas Projects. And he's learning to live without his big brother who was recently shot. He lives in a neighborhood with cliques and territories, and they don't join these cliques and territories to have make friends, but for protection. He loves to build Legos, and it's a way for him to escape some of the hardships that he has as a 12-year-old living in Harlem. And it addresses making choices. Does he choose to join the crowd, join a clique, and seek revenge on the boys who jumped him and his friends? Or does he choose to rise above it and become an individual? And he'll do that through emerging himself in his Lego project. The next text is a historical fiction, 910, a September 11th story written by Nora Riley Baskin. It features four characters and addresses the question, where were you on September 11th, 2001? Although September 11th and the bombing of the Twin Towers is a major event, you also have four adolescents who are dealing with real issues in different parts of the world. Sergio in Brooklyn, New York, deals with an absentee father, and he lives with his grandmother. Amy in Los Angeles, California, has a mother who works a lot, and she talks about how much she misses her. Will lives in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. He's recently lost his father in a car accident. His family is learning to live without him. And finally, we have Nahid, who is a Muslim girl who gets asked very rude questions because of the hijab she wears on her head. The text addresses days before September 11th and even how it impacted them and the rest of the world afterwards. The next text is called Grenade, written by Alan Gratz. He also wrote the text Refugee, and he writes a lot of historical fiction. And there's a trend that I'm starting to notice in which he has more than one character having individual stories, and he connects the characters throughout the text. The characters in this text is Hideki, a Japanese soldier who's 14 years old, and Ray, an American soldier who's 18. Now, this is centered around an event in World War II called Operation Iceberg. It happened on April 1st, 1945, and it's also known as Love Day. And it might not be an event that we will get to cover in just using a history book. There are some issues or social topics such as bullying, as well as some cultural beliefs where Hideki, the Japanese soldier, believes that if he dies for his country, he will lift some shame that has been attached to his family name. There is also some World War II propaganda talked about on both texts. How Americans were taught to view Japanese soldiers and how Japanese were taught to view American soldiers. He includes notes in the back for some terms that were used during that time period. And he also includes lots of maps and more information about the historical event, Operation Iceberg. The last historical fiction text is called Gone Crazy in Alabama, written by Rita Williams Garcia. It is a recipient of the Coretta Scott King Award, and the setting is in two places, Brooklyn, New York, and then Alabama in the late 1960s. Three girls, the Gaither sisters, are visiting their grandmother in Alabama, and it's told from the older sister, 12-year-old Delphine's point of view. So you have some topics such as being the older sister, family ties, maybe wanting to be close with one's family or separation. You have a mixed family in here. The girls have a stepmother, and the author adds to the setting by using a language of that time, like names of candy, names of places, names of bands and music. And it addresses, or the reader can learn about the impacts of the Vietnam War on individuals who came back, segregation in the South, and the difference between both the North and the South.